not have any modifications, so I will move to receive and file the minutes for the October 3rd, 2024, the regular zoning administrator meeting. The next portion of the meeting is oral and written communications. Members of the audience may address the zoning administrator on any item within the jurisdiction of the zoning administrator that is not on the zoning administrator agenda. If you wish to speak, let me know. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda today? Seeing none, we can move on to the public hearing portion of the meeting. The public hearing process includes a staff presentation, a presentation by the applicant not to exceed 10 minutes, and public testimony not to exceed 3 minutes per speaker. Following closure of the public hearing, the zoning administrator will respond to questions raised during the hearing, discuss the issues, and act upon the matter by motion. We have 2 public hearing items today. The first is item A, public hearing project 24-304, and David Creo is our project planner. Mr. Creo.
Yes, good afternoon. So the project is a request for approval of a tentative parcel map. This is to allow a duplex condominium subdivision for individual ownership. The property in question is at 214 West Mariposa within the residential medium zone and coastal zone overlay district. The property noted in the staff report says that it's going through construction, but I believe it just finished, Harold?
Yes.
Probably. The site does abut a historic property at 212 West Mariposa, in which the construction of the subject property did go through the discretionary review to make sure there's no impacts to the historic property. So again, the request is to subdivide the airspace of the lot to allow for individual ownership of each unit, which per code requires zoning administrator approval. Staff believes that the project or the request meets required findings and is therefore in support of the request for the following reasons. The project is limited to subdividing the lot's airspace to allow for separate ownership of 2 condominium units and does not have any potential environmental impacts. The city limits the number of annual condominium conversions that can occur. However, per code, that restriction shall not apply to condominium projects involving buildings which have not been previously occupied or buildings for which the city has not issued a final inspection or certificate of occupancy for use other than condominiums. In this case, the units have not been occupied. In addition, there's conditions of approval included that require covenants, conditions, and restrictions to establish maintenance responsibilities over all common areas, including driveways, parking, landscaped areas, walls, private accesses, and drainage. And lastly, the proposal complies with the municipal code, building, health, and safety codes, and other applicable regulations and policies. I'll note here that the property is within the coastal zone and also within the categorical exclusion order area. However, this is not a request that's covered under that, so it will require approval and review by the Coastal Commission. The project is also not subject to the MELOAC in that there are no occupied residences, as stated earlier, at the subject sites. Therefore, staff recommends that the zoning administrator determine the project is categorically exempt from CEQA and adopt Resolution ZA 24-019 approving the request. And that concludes my presentation, and we do have the applicant available for any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Creo. Would the applicant or the applicant's team like to make any comments, or do you have a presentation you'd like to share?
No comments. Happy to answer any questions, but no comments.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so I will go ahead and open the public hearing to hear any public comments. We have one speaker card, and that is Kelly Mulligan.
Thank you for inviting and hearing us today. I live on West Mariposa, as well as one of my neighbors who's come with me today. And we are concerned that this application is happening, as well as two other on the other side of the street. We also have an additional one that was already approved, and we feel like the density on our street is a concern for us. These are already very small, narrow lots. They are highly sought after right now. I have realtors calling me weekly trying to get me to sell, and if they know that these lots can be purchased, the original homes torn down, because they can essentially be split by creating a condominium there, we are really changing the character of the neighborhood. And so we just want to speak to that. I don't know, I'm not a professional in these areas. I don't know what the zoning is, but it's just a concern that we have. We feel like as residents of North Beach, we often get pushed into things because we don't have the representation that South Beach does. And we're getting a little tired.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments and your participation in this process. Before I have any questions of the staff and the applicant, I think it's just worth noting what this project is and how it got to this point. So the zone, I'm assuming you're in the same zone that the subject property is in, because you're a neighbor, and the zoning is residential medium. Residential medium is not a single family zone. And even if it was, there are state laws now that allow for not only the physical subdivision of single family zoned lots into multiple parcels, but the addition of accessory dwelling units and other units. So the state of California has effectively removed local jurisdiction on maintaining what would be classically identified as a single family zone. With that said, this being the residential medium zone allows for, regardless of the size of the lot, at least 2 dwelling units. In this case, only a building permit is required for a duplex to be constructed. And so the project on this particular property did not require any discretionary review, any type of public hearing for its approval. What's being requested right now is a condominium subdivision, which is just a separation of airspace. And what that does is allows for separate ownership of the units. That is generally seen as a benefit to the neighborhood. And the reason for that is because a duplex under single ownership is, by its very nature, going to be rental properties. It might have an owner, but it will always have at least one other renter. Condominium subdivisions generally encourage owner-occupied properties, which the city's estimation generally leads to better upkeep, more buy-in on the maintenance of that property, and we find that people are there for a longer period of time. They generally are much more connected to the neighborhood because they're owners just like everybody else. I completely understand your concerns about the density and the increase. Unfortunately, being a residential medium zone area, and the general lack of housing in the state, it will not surprise me to hear that future density will occur. However, just so you're aware, the state's laws that take away the local discretionary authority related to zoning that cities have historically enjoyed is not something that the city takes lightly, and we do submit letters with the council's approval in support of certain bills that aim to preserve local authority and that oppose bills that continue to diminish that authority. With that said, even all of the new laws that relate to housing that the state has been passing over the last, I'll say, 6 to 7 years, would not fundamentally change this type of project. what has been proposed here, what has been developed, and what is being requested now is something that we have been processing at the level that it's currently being processed for a very long time.
That's kind of what we figured. We just wanted to understand more of what was going on.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate the explanation.
course. Okay, so just to clarify a couple things, I appreciate your staff report, Mr. Carrillo. The project has the building permit been finalized?
We called for final for tomorrow.
Okay,
So I was waiting for my HERS report. We just got that in, so.
okay, all right. So the building permit is on the verge of being finalized. I'm sure there's some remaining landscaping work and things of that nature that need to be done. I am familiar with the property. I did stop by the property. I have not had any conversations with anybody about this application, and I have not received any written communications on the matter. So I, in reviewing the building permit and the property, I am happy to see that this is utilizing our the city's non-state imposed zoning allowances. This, as stated before, the density here could have been a little bit higher, but I think a duplex in this area is, if not a single-family residence, is the most compatible use that could occur here. So with that, based on the staff presentation and the findings that are provided in the resolution, which I will reiterate in that the site is physically suitable for the type of development. The site is suitable for the proposed density of the development, and the condominium subdivision is consistent with the general plan and zoning ordinance, as well as Title 16 of the Municipal Code regulating subdivisions. I can support this request. Just noting and reiterating staff's comments about the necessity to go to Coastal Commission and get a coastal development permit or whatever application they deem necessary. So with that, I can close the public hearing, and I will move to 1, determine the project is categorically exempt from the requirements of CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15301 and 15315, and adopt resolution ZA 24-019, approving public hearing project 24-304 for tentative parcel map 24-314, Mariposa duplex condominium subdivision, subject to the conditions of approval. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate you coming out and participating in this project, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right.
It's a nice looking building. No
Okay.
personal problems.
I do build around town, and I try to build a quality building.
It looks like a lovely building.
Oh, thank you. I think, like Adam said, it will enhance the neighborhood.
Well, yeah, that's really
And I understand the concerns too with the density, finding parking is kind of.
yeah, it's rough there.
But the problem is, for many years we had this little hidden treasure here in San Clemente. As people discovered it, everyone started moving in, the demand for housing. So
Yeah, one good thing I'll note about it is each unit has 2 garage
garages.
spaces
Yeah.
plus driveway, so
That's
it won't be
nice.
taking a lot of street spaces, which is good.
Very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay,
All right. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Bye.
All right, we've got one more public hearing item that was agendized. And that is item 4B, public hearing project 24-362. Thank you very much. SC Christian School amendment to CP 15-106. Mr. Carrillo, if you could just give a brief explanation on the staff's recommendation.
Yes, the applicants did not have all the required information necessary for a thorough review on staff side, so staff is recommending that the zoning administrator continue the item to the November 21st, 2024 zoning administrator meeting for that reason.
Okay. So I will, by motion, move to continue this item to November 21st, 2024. And that will not require noticing to be redone. Everything was noticed correctly for this meeting, correct?
Yes.
All right. And moving on, we have no new business, no old business, and so I will move to adjourn this meeting to the next regular meeting of the zoning administrator to be held at 3 p.m. on Thursday, November 7th, 2024, at the Community Development Department, first floor, community room at 910 Cayo Negocio.